So after about 3 years and 3,000 miles in my 72 volt golf cart, I finally wore out my lead acid batteries. I had some 12 volt Trojan batteries in there to make up the 72 volt system. So I had 6 of those. It was about 500 pounds in batteries in total, as they weighed 85 pounds each. So I decided to go with the lithium iron phosphate upgrade and just build a battery myself, mainly due to the fact I just couldn't find any cost-effective ones online. The cheapest packages with the charger in a 72 volt system was around $2,500 to $3,500. And most of those, I think, were 22S systems. I decided to go with the 24S system to give me a little bit on the upper end and also on the lower end and battery life, and I'm pretty pleased with the results. I bought some 74 amp hour batteries off Battery Hookup. They were $22 a piece, and they already have the studs on them for hooking the bus bars, as well as some threaded holes for connecting your balance cables. So I thought they were a pretty good deal. It removed the rails that the existing 6 12 volt lead acid batteries sat in. Also, because of the size of the battery box that I was using, I had to relocate the brake fluid reservoir, as well as a switch I had installed to turn off the backup horn, and another control box for the extra LED lights I added. And then finally, I had to relocate the run tow switch, and then I decided to relocate the actual power input cable connector also, just because it was a little bit smaller and I thought it would look better. After I ground down the welds, I ended up painting it to keep it from rusting, and then I installed the new charger. I did have to repurchase the charger, as I originally bought a 22S charger and needed a 24S charger. To build the batteries, I decided to build the 2 packs of 12 vertically so that they would be compressed. And then I use straps as well as the fabric reinforced tape to try to keep the batteries as compressed as possible. I think it worked out pretty well, but this is the first battery I've ever built. Next up, I put the bus bars on and verified that I had 72 volts. I put a piece of plywood between the 2 packs of 12 after individually wrapping them with tape to make sure that they were compressed together. I then wrapped the individual packs of 12 as well as the combined packs of 24 with electrical tape to try to keep them isolated. Next, I added the straps to keep them compressed and used plywood on each end to make sure that I did not damage the cells with the strapping. I also used the fiber board for insulation, and then added more strapping tape, and then more electrical tape for isolation. I cut a piece of clear plexiglass to mount the BMS on top of the battery pack. I do wish I would have added a little bit more space for the cables to connect to this battery pack, but I thought it worked out pretty well. I then mounted the completed battery pack inside a welder's toolbox made by Global Industrial. Pretty heavy duty. I did put plywood on the bottom of the box as well as plywood around all the sides of it to keep it isolated from the battery box, and then drilled holes for the bulkhead battery fittings as well as the communication cables for the display. I did see some designs on the web where people were using 3 different smaller gauge cables to connect to each side of the BMS. I think that might have been a little bit more flexible than the heavy duty cables I used, but I did go with some nice bulkhead fittings that screwed onto the box real well, and the BMS did come with a nice pass-through cable for the display. The display also has a button to turn it on and off. I added an additional display on top of the battery pack just for the battery pack. It doesn't have cell monitoring, but it only measures the voltage. But it is a smart display, so you were able to program it for lithium iron phosphate. So it does seem to track the other display that connects directly to the battery very well. After the initial setup, I did have it balance the batteries before I hooked the charger to it. This is the display mounted on the dashboard of the golf cart. It fit pretty well, and the cable was just long enough to run it to the back. Then I did get the battery fully charged. Like I said, I went with 24S charger after originally purchasing a 22S 72 volt charger. So make sure you get that right. The new one is only 10 amps, I think, but it charges the battery up fully in probably about 5 hours if it was all the way empty. I then relocated the power supply input, or just where you hook the extension cord to, just so it would fit a little bit better and would not interfere with the end of the golf cart. The end result is the golf cart is much faster, a lot more pickup even on the higher end. It is also has a lot more range. I have not done any full range tests yet, but I'm hoping to get probably 40 miles out of it. It does run 25 to 30 miles an hour, no problem. I do have the box to adjust the speed, acceleration, and regen inside my glove compartment, but I also have the Bluetooth app to interface with the controller, and I haven't done that yet, but I will do some more fine tuning with it to try to get the most out of the system. In total, I think I spent probably about $1,300, including the controller, and I'm so glad I went this route. So much better than the lead acid, and the more expensive solutions I think were only 22S. So I got a lot more range, and I think I reduced the weight from about 500 to about 160 pounds.
It's got some get up and go, huh?